Wild River, Day 7, Chapter 43. Big Red. We awake to a perfect blue sky. Hardly any clouds. Cool, dry air. Deke, rigging the carrier to his broad shoulders, is as bright and cheerful as the weather. "Today is the day," he announces. "Byron James will have a fleet of rescue helicopters searching for us, so keep an eye out." Like he's positive this will be our last day on the trail. I hope he's right, but part of me is more cautious. Go forward hoping for the best, but never forget the danger all around us. Floods, mountain lions, bears, all kinds of creatures out there capable of inflicting great harm, and the river itself can be deadly. The landscape of steep ravines is awesome but dangerous. One wrong step, one slip in a bad place, and your life is over. We know that. And we must not forget, we can never let our guard down. We head out as before, with Mia picking the trail, clearing the way. Amani and me with Deke making sure he doesn't get tripped up. The night wasn't good for Cindy. The poor lady moaned and whimpered in her sleep. This morning she was too weak to swallow a little hot broth that had been saved for her. Her breathing seems really shallow, and even when she's conscious, it's like not all of her is there. None of us want to say out loud, but we're scared she's dying. Amani tries to wake her, distract her from the pain. "Hey, Cindy! Cindy Beacon superstar! Tiny dancer! You're the best girl! Tell us about the big game, Cindy! World Cup so amazing! We'd love to hear all about it. Oh, I know you're hurting. We're going to get you the help you need. That's a promise. So just hang in there, Cindy. We love you. Everybody loves you." Cindy briefly opens her glassy eyes. Does she know where she is or what's going on? I doubt it. If ever there was a time for a rescue, this is it. We haven't discussed the actual search that must be going on, but it makes sense. A super wealthy dude like Byron James would spare nothing to locate his missing daughter. He'd be running it like a military operation, hiring planes and helicopters and search parties, like Deke said. So where are they? Last thing home base knew about us, we were heading to a river 100 miles from here. That's where they'd look first. But when they didn't find us at the original destination, they'd widen the search area, right? Would they be looking 100 miles away? Would they be checking out the remote, crazy river wilderness? Or was damage from the broken dam so massive they assumed nobody could have survived? Put that out of your head, Daniel. It doesn't help to imagine the worst, because the worst means Cindy Beacon dies before we can find help. Mia, leading from the front, joins in the optimistic chatter. "Today's the day. I like the sound of that. First thing when I get back to civilization, wash my hair, then eat a Big Mac. So icky but so delicious." Amani joins in. "I agree with the icky part. First thing, the same for me. Wash my hair for sure. Clean clothes. Then a cold, cold glass of milk. Then change into my favorite jammies and go to bed and let my mom read me stories like she did when I was little." Daniel, "I'm going to roll in the dirt like a dog because I'm still not dirty enough." Arf! That cracks the girls up. "That's so funny, Daniel. Deke, what about you?" Mia asks. Silence for a few yards. Then, "I'd rather not think about it." Meaning, he is thinking about it. What to tell Tony Meeks' family. "Sorry, your son died trying to impress me." That shuts us up for a while. The reminder that even though we left Tony behind, he's still with us. It's such a big thing, his death, and what to do about it. Like an extra weight we're carrying around. Ahead, Mia gasps and points. "Dios mío! I don't believe it." We all see it. On the shore and fully inflated, a big red raft. Chapter 44, The Big Hush. The raft is the same one that carried us through Whitewater on the first day. Astonishing that it survived the flood without any obvious damage. Sky Hansen's Wild River Adventures, stamped on the front, reminds us of who we've lost. And at the same time, it's like a gift from Sky. He can't be there to help us, so his raft will have to do. No life jackets. They had to be hung up to dry and must have been swept away, but 2 paddles remain, firmly strapped inside the raft. 4 paddles would be better, but 2 will do. We drag the raft into the water, leaving it tethered to a tree while we transfer Cindy. Lowering her ever so carefully into the middle between the inflated seats, she groans and her eyes flutter, not all the way conscious, but aware of what's happening. A smile forms on her lips. Then she's deep asleep, still breathing, but just barely. Hang on, Cindy. Help is on the way, and we're on the way to help. Soon, we promise. We love you, Cindy. Please stay with us. We're hoping that the next time she wakes up will be when she's loaded into an ambulance. Until then, we'll do all we can to keep her safe and alive. We need a plan, Deke says. What do we do if we get to some rapids? I'm worried she won't survive getting banged around in white water or thrown from the raft without a life jacket. Mia agrees. We'll be extra careful. If the current picks up or we hear rapids, Amani and I will make sure she's secure. You and Dan will take the paddles. Agreed? Sounds good. Agreed. We'll need to stay as much in the middle of the river as possible. Can't risk being thrown ashore. Got it. Piece of cake. Don't say cake. I'm starved. We're kidding around because we're all nervous. Our last whitewater adventure with the raft made of logs was a disaster. On the other hand, if Sky's raft made it through the flood, a wall of water 30 feet high, it can survive just about anything. Deke and I man the paddles, but we don't have to do much except steer now and then. The water remains calm, carrying us smoothly downriver at a mile or two an hour. The sun is out, the sky is clear, and we're passing through some of the most beautiful wilderness in the world. As we come around a long, slow curve, a moose clomps out of the forest and lowers her head into the water, drinking deeply. I recognize the animal because we have them in New Hampshire. Believe me, you don't want to get into a car wreck with a moose. They can outweigh over 1,000 pounds. They can weigh over 1,000 pounds. This one is female, no antlers, and as we pass by, her two calves join her at the water's edge, mom and kids. That's so cute, Mia says. That's the first big creature we've seen that hasn't wanted to kill us, Deke points out. Amani laughs. Don't say that too loud. Moose can swim. Mama Moose watches us drift by. We're not the first rafters she's ever seen, and she knows we're no threat. A little while later, a huge bald eagle swoops over the water, reaches down its talons, and snags a fish. Amazing! It's like Montana is showing off. Look at me, I am magnificent. We're distracted from the scenery by Cindy trying to speak. Or is she choking? Amani holds Cindy's head up and pours a little water over her cracked lips. That's what she wanted, something to drink. That's a good sign, isn't it? I ask. She hasn't given up. Amani looks so serious it gives me the chills. Hope we get there soon. I'm starting to think it doesn't exist. This pickup location connected to a road. Has to be real, says Mia fiercely. Sky told us, remember? We'd put it by the dam. And there would be another van waiting at the end of the adventure. I wasn't really paying attention, I admit. Funny how you don't pay attention, and later it turns out to be a matter of life and death. We'll find it. There will be a road, and we'll flag down the first vehicle we see. They'll help us. They have to. We're starting to feel panicky. Me most of all, because it was my idea to go downriver, rather than wait to be rescued. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we should have stayed where we were, waiting for the rain to stop and the sky to clear. Suddenly, Deke perks up, lifting his head. Hear that? Get ready. I grip the paddle with all my might. The river picks up speed, and the familiar sound gets louder and louder. Soon it will be roaring, the big hush of white water. Chapter 45. The most beautiful sound on earth. Mia and Amani drape themselves over the inflatable seats and grab the handholds, locking themselves into position over Cindy, acting as her human shield so she can't be tossed out. They look so determined that it inspires me to be better than I am. No matter how much it scares me, I'll do my best. I'll rise above. Get ready! Deke shouts. Here it comes! I'm on one side, armed with a paddle. He's on the other. We're going to keep this raft upright in the middle of the river. Cindy Beacon isn't dying on our watch, no matter how rough the rapids. Bring it on, you crazy river. And it does. The hush becomes a roar, and suddenly we're in it. Waves breaking over the sides. In that first moment, I'm drenched and blinded. My glass is so wet I can't see anything clearly. Deke, can't see. Tell me what to do. Okay, wait, now, go! I plunge the paddle deep and pull with all my might. 1 stroke, 2, stop! Wait, go! 5 more strokes, straining every muscle in my body. Ripping along with the white water is like riding a toboggan down a bumpy slope, only softer. I hope Cindy is passed out because every twist and jounce must hurt. The raft is amazingly buoyant. No matter how steep the wave, it bounces back on top. Thanks to Sky Hansen for buying the best gear and teaching us the basics. Boulder dead ahead! Teague screams. Go! 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 I'm battling blind, eyes stinging, concentrating on keeping hold of the paddle because without it we'd be lost. The water keeps trying to wrench it away, but I'd rather die than let go. Wham! The raft slams into the side of a boulder. We spin in a circle facing backward as the current rips us away. Go! Go! Straining to paddle as hard as possible and not fall out of the raft. Stop! With one hand, I clear my glasses enough so I can see we're facing forward and remain in the middle of the river. Then we're thumping in steep shallows, barely clearing the rocky bottom. Mist rises from the turbulence like steam, making it difficult for either of us to see what lies ahead. How long can this go on? Can poor Cindy survive the violent movements of the raft, which is being flung about like a beach ball in the surf? Almost clear. Hang on. We spin again out of control. What did he mean, almost clear? Did we barely miss another rock? The raft pitches forward, backward for us, and the bow area is submerged for a second before popping back up. Water swirls around my legs. Help her! I scream. She'll drown! The girls assure me she's okay, that the water between the inflatable seats did not flood. The current begins to slow, and then we're out of the rapids and back into calm water. I kneel on the paddle to keep it from getting loose and wipe my glasses with my shirt. Deke looks like a big wet dog, totally soaked, but the look in his eyes warns me not to make any wisecracks. Not that I would dare. She's awake! Mia sounds greatly relieved. Cindy says to thank you. She says we're her guardian angels. I'm shaking from the chill of the water, also from sheer exhaustion. That was like 10 of the gym class workouts I always hated. Other kids did like 20 pull ups. I couldn't even do one. But somehow, I paddled hard enough to keep up with big, strong Deke, and we all came through alive. I am so tired I want to curl up and sleep, but my heart is pounding way too hard. If we came upon another stretch of white water, we're doomed, because my skinny arms feel like they're about to fall off. I look over at Deke and realize he's as exhausted as I am, but not so tired he can't give me a high five. You did good, dude. I could barely keep up. That can't be true, but it's nice to hear. Whoop. What's that? Amani sounds awestruck. Do you hear that? Wobble, wobble. Oh, yes, we all hear it. Even Cindy, who lifts her head and stares into the sky with a smile on her face and her eyes beaming. We are listening to the most beautiful sound on earth. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Helicopter blades. Chapter 46. Something we need to discuss. My brain is shouting, wow, 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 but I can't seem to say it out loud. Too choked up. Doesn't matter, Mia's cheering for all of us. She stands up in the tippy raft, waving both arms at the big orange helicopter hovering over us. We did it! We did it! I can't believe it! We actually did it! A helmeted crewman leans out the open door of the helicopter and points to the shore. Both sides of the river are heavily forested, so there's no place to land. The rescue will take place from the air. Deke and I don't have to discuss it. We know what to do. Dig in with our paddles and get to the shore fast as possible. Amani leaps out, takes the rope, and ties it to a tree. Cindy first, she shouts. But of course she can't be heard above the roar of the helicopter. It hovers directly overhead. The downdraft from the blades roars like a hurricane, knocking leaves and small branches from the shivering aspen trees, spreading white rings in the water. The noise is overwhelming. Amani and Mia make themselves understood by pointing at Cindy, lying between the inflatable seats, and holding up one finger. First! Take her first! The crewman leading out of the helicopter gives a thumbs up. A rescue cradle is slowly lowered. Amani and I grab the ends, positioning it next to the raft, while Deke gently lifts Cindy from between the seats. She's awake, although unable to speak above the roar of the blades. Deke places her in the cradle, and we fasten the safety straps. After we back away, the cradle rises, slowly turning a graceful pirouette as they pull it into the helicopter. Once she's inside, the guy in the helmet leans out and somehow makes us understand that we should stay there where we are and they'll return for us. Cindy Beacon, the tiny dancer who scored that amazing goal, will soon be on her way to the closest trauma center. That's what Mia meant by "we did it." We saved her by working together and not giving up. We can be proud of that for the rest of our lives. Maybe that will balance out the shameful events that also happened. The big orange helicopter speeds away, and as we wait for it to return, Mia wipes the tears from her eyes and reaches out. Take hands! You too, Deke! The dream team has something to discuss. It's about Tony. A discussion takes place about what to tell his family. We make a pledge to Tony and a vow to ourselves, 4 brave friends holding hands in the wilderness, having survived for 7 long days. I couldn't be more proud of myself or them. Chapter 47, It's Good to Be Alive. I'd tell you about our rescue, how we all went up in the same cage, but it turns out helicopters and I don't get along. I puked and I puked, 3 bags full. Well, not quite, but that's how it felt, heaving on an empty stomach. Too busy being sick to pay much attention to the flight or what we could see out the open door. Just the sight of an open door, and what if we fall out, was enough to turn me into a barfomatic machine. I do know they flew us to the same hospital in Missoula where Cindy Beacon was being treated, that we landed on a helipad and were guided inside, that the rescue crew turned us over to a medical crew before we could properly thank them. Within a few minutes, I feel way better. Daniel Redmayne? The super nice lady escorting me checks off my name. The docs will need to give you a thorough checkup, making sure you're good to go. But first, there's somebody who wants to see you. A lot of somebodies. They're waiting for me in the ER lobby. My family. All of them. My little brothers, Philip, John, and Mark. My mom, of course, she's always there for us. And yes, my father, too. He looks shaky and trembles a little from his medication, like always, but he's beaming like the sun. My brothers swarm me, grabbing hold of my arms and legs as if to assure themselves I'm really there. Is it possible to weep gleefully? Yes. We knew you'd be okay. Were there lions? Were there bears? Both. Tell us. Maybe later, I promise. Let me hug Mom, okay? I never knew Mom was so strong. She practically cracks my ribs as she nuzzles my hair and strokes my face. My baby boy, all grown up. Dad is last to embrace me. Keeping my voice down, I ask if he's okay. He nods. The illness remains. There is no cure, I just have to deal with it. When they told us you were missing, I assumed I'd fall to pieces. Somehow that didn't happen. That's great, Dad. I'm not saying I'll never need help again, but for now, I'm good. Everybody is making a fuss, pointing out that I'm skinnier than ever, but I don't mind. It may change later when things get back to normal, but for now, I love everything about my family and everything about my life. It's so good to be alive. The physical examination takes a lot longer than I expected. No, they didn't count my freckles, but they checked everything else from heart rate to lung capacity. Healthy as a horse, says the doc, who finally signs me out. Good to go, young man. Staff wants to thank you and your friends for what you did for Miss Beacon. Have no doubt, without your efforts, she would not be alive. There's that to feel good about. On the downside, cadaver dogs are out searching the crazy for the remains of Sky Hansen. It's possible his body has been buried under so much flood debris that it will never be found, but we owe it to him to try. Tony's body has already been recovered, thanks to the helicopter crews who spotted the primitive grave marker we left behind. His family will be able to give him a real funeral and bury him properly. I get it that bad things happen to good people, that life can be dangerous when you least expect it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. All 4 of the survivors' families have a reunion at the airport that includes ice cream and hamburgers, and guess what? We get to fly back on Byron James's corporate jet! He turns out to be a really awesome dude. Wicked smart, and of course, Anamani's mother is so nice and regular acting. Not fancy rich at all. She thanks all of us for never giving up. I'm so sorry to hear about your friend Tony. It's so sad and tragic. We can't bear to think about it. But we can't not think about it. So there it is. The Tony thing. Never going away. Mia catches my eye and nods. She gets it. Amani too. Deke, seated with his mom and dad, looks happy enough at first glance. He has a lot to deal with. But he'll be okay, because he has 3 forever friends, amigos bravos, and will never let him down. As for me, for the first time in my life, I'm looking forward to getting back to school. I'm going to take an art class, also for the first time, because if I'm going to write a graphic novel about my dad and how he deals with his condition, I need to improve my drawing skills. If you're going to be a good writer, you have to take it seriously. You have to be fully committed no matter what. You have to understand that nothing is guaranteed, that things can go wrong, mistakes get made, accidents can happen, and you can't let that stop you. Like I learned on the crazy river, there are times that even if something is super scary, you just have to go all in. 30 days later. The 4 of us are up in the bleachers of the Sky Hansen Gymnasium, witnessing the dedication ceremony for the brand new Byron James Regional Middle School. It's quite a spectacle. Cindy Beacon wanted to be there, but is about to enter a long-term rehab facility. She misses a short speech by Byron James himself, and an appearance by the New Hampshire governor, who presents the famous inventor with a key to the state. You shared your imagination with the world, and now, lucky for us, you're sharing your fortune. That gets a lot of laughs. Amani goes along with it, but I'm sure she feels the weight of it. All that fame and money. We're our own tribe now, and we're tight. We look out for each other, and we can keep a secret. Amani's secret is that Byron James is her dad. Deke's secret is he used to be a bully. Lots of secrets. For instance, we applaud and cheer when our new principal hands out a special award in memory of Anthony Tony Meeks, who lost his life trying to help the other survivors. That may not be the crazy river truth, but it's our truth. Because of what we chose to tell them, his family believes he died a hero. And that's a good thing, right? Or wrong? You decide. The end.